The more you associate happiness with curiosity, the happier you'll be when your curiosity is satisfied. Welcome to the Happy Channel. It's TRS Clips. I'm going to relay an experience I had in Sri Lanka. I remember once, I think we were in Kandy somewhere, like outside Kandy. And we met a local guy who was actually selling an opportunity to take photos with his pet porcupine. Okay, like on the highway. And my dad and me were very into animals. So we saw porcupine and we were like, okay, we really want to get a photo clicked. So I got off. We took the photo. Very friendly guy. And this is what you'll see in most of Sri Lanka. And he looked at us. He's like, where are you from? Pakistan? Because I guess we're Punjabi. So we look a little Pakistani. So we said, no, but like originally we're Punjabi, like Yuvraj Singh. And the moment I said Yuvraj Singh, he's like, okay, Punjabi, cricket, great. He's like, you're just not Tamil, right? Then I don't mind. And I was like, okay, what is... And I was too young at that point to know Sri Lankan geopolitical history, which I've gotten to know over time. Is there still little residual tension between like Sinhalese and Tamil people?
You see, our society is polarized. I mean, we are a small country, 22 million people. I think we fought a war. We went through a war period because of these differences, which then get magnified by extremists into violence. Right. I always see that in society, you have to address problems as soon as you see them quickly. Leaders have to have that wisdom. If you allow them to fester, it ends up basically leading to violence. Now, if you look at, I mean, Sinhala, Tamil, all of us came really from the same place. We all trace our origins to India one way or the other. The Sinhalese trace their origins, or we trace our origins to Prince Vijay, who came, we believe, from Bengal down.
Oh, wow.
And he later he initially married a local indigenous queen. And then, because it was at that time, it was a more tribal society in Sri Lanka when Prince Vijay came. Then later he married a Pandyan princess. Now, interestingly, I'm now oversimplifying a lot of things here, but basically the Sinhala kings generally had alliances with the Pandyans.
The Pandyas were a Tamil
civilization. It's a southern, the Pandyan civilization is in the south, yes. Then the Cholas rose. And the Cholas and the Pandyans had a huge battle, and the Cholas dominated. And we got caught in the middle of that battle, geopolitics in the sense, because we were closer to the Pandyans. So this demonization of Chola, which it comes, the Tamilian demonization in some quarters comes from this history.
Wow. And this is like, I think 800 AD?
Yeah, this goes back. So, but what I'm saying is, then we speak, our languages are different. The Tamil community speak Tamil. It's a Dravidian-based language. Sinhalese, we speak Sinhala, which is Pali, Sanskrit-based. So actually, we shouldn't be having these differences.
Right.
Sinhalese are mostly Buddhist. Tamils are mostly Hindus. So this conflict cannot be, in my view, religious, because if you go to a Buddhist temple, you see Lord Ganesha sometimes separately outside the temple. It is there. We have normally the deities, Hindu deities also associated with our Buddhist temples. So, okay, it cannot be religious. It should not be ethnic, but we have this tension. So we have to resolve it. We fought a war. We had terrorism because certain parts of the Tamil community felt that at any cost they wanted separation. Separation is not practical. I mean, our island is small and we don't have that space. And we also, the Tamil community not only lives in the north and the east, they live elsewhere in the country as well. You said you visited Kandy. Kandy has Tamil community. Colombo, the city of Colombo, which is our capital, is in fact 1/3 Tamil, 1/3 Muslim, and around a third, very roughly around a third Sinhala. So the capital of Colombo is a very much a multicultural and multi-ethnic city. So we need to resolve this. Now, I'm hoping that your generation and beyond in Sri Lanka will resolve it, because my generation, we did not create the problem, but we may have continued it. So we have to, hopefully, the next generation will look at resolving it.
I hope for the same when it comes to Hindu-Muslim tension in my country as well. And then, one thing I've come to realize is every country in the world has some sort of communal tension. And my other big hope is really that my generation, because of the internet, actually becomes friendlier and more compassionate towards each other and understand that everyone's human first, then you are your nationality, then you are your religion.
Exactly. I think that, Ramayana, there is I'm trying to phrase it, but, Queen Kausalya to King Dasharatha, after Lord Rama was exiled, she at one point, I think she's in great pain, and she tells King Dasharatha, there is nothing greater. She said there is no enemy that is greater than grief. And then she starts by explaining grief destroys that grief destroys one's learning, grief destroys one's everything. And then she says grief destroys one's dignity. She basically goes through that process. And then she says there is no enemy that is greater than grief.
Yeah.
And it's all about grievances. I mean, you feel hurt by something in you, that leads you to take certain decisions. I feel hurt. So I think leadership is about being mature enough to judge and take decisions at the right time on these issues. I think the Sri Lankan experience was that we just took too long and we allowed it to fester. Now we have another opportunity and we need to try again.
So at least when it comes to Hindu-Muslim tensions in India, a lot of it is political propaganda and agenda. When you actually go to a Muslim community or a Hindu community, they won't really have animosity. Most of the community won't have animosity towards the other section. Some, family members, etc. Sure, you'll always have someone saying, that community is not as good as us, etc. But overall, generally speaking, I would like to believe in most parts of the country, people have love for each other.
No, it's the same in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
It's politicians magnify it to consolidate their vote banks. I mean, that's the only way they know how to do it.
Right.
But people who actually have to live together, it's another story. Now, I mentioned in Colombo city, it's Muslim, Tamil, Sinhala. We have also Christians, a large Christian population. I was a member of parliament from Colombo and my constituency was diverse. And when it comes to even election time, because everybody lives in, these are poor areas, so they live very closely together. Even campaigning, you worked it out so that when you are campaigning on one side with, let's say, one political party, I belonged to, at that time, the UNP, and the opposing party was the SLFP. Among politicians at that level, you had an understanding, you campaign on this day, we will campaign on the other day, so that you do not create disturbances. So people who have to live with this understand it. But I think the problem is at national level, very often politicians want to magnify this to get their votes. I mean, that's what happens.
I have a very stupid question for you, okay?
Never stupid.
If you see a Tamil person in Sri Lanka, or if a Tamil person sees a Sinhalese person, is it visually different?
Very difficult. That's a fact. That's where, I mean, you can guess that sometimes you can, but I mean, it's not easy. But I mean, when you talk to somebody, you can figure it out.
How?
Well, language. So say very often, that's an interesting factor in Sri Lanka. The Tamil community who live in the Colombo area generally can speak Sinhala or understand Sinhala. But if you have not been speaking Sinhala all your life, you can, by the accent, figure it out. In the north and the east, generally, Tamils would not speak Sinhala. And unfortunately, we Sinhalese also do not speak Tamil. So that is a criticism for all of us. Interesting, the Muslim population, by and large, in the urban areas and even in the rural areas, speak both languages. So very often the Muslims, although there is polarization with Muslims also at times, because all these issues, as you rightly say, politicians can magnify, the Muslims are conversant in three languages very often, Sinhala, English and Tamil. Whereas we as Sinhalese, we tend to stick to our own language, and the Tamil community tend to stick to Tamil, except in urban areas. So language would be one way you would say when you start speaking with somebody, because they may not be able to speak it properly or understand it. Looking by sight, it's unlikely. You could guess, you could think. I mean, some of us think about these things, most don't. Now, I mean, I don't think about whether it's Tamil, Muslim or Sinhala. And I think by and large, most Sri Lankans don't.
Okay.
But politicians, as you rightly say, on all sides, because it's not restricted to Sinhalese politicians alone or Tamil politicians alone, they like to, because that's how they consolidate their base.
Okay. As is the case with the rest of the world.
Humanity. That's why I always, this Ramayana quote I like is that because it's about grievances. You take grievances and you magnify them. That's what politicians do.
So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out this playlist for more videos just like this. It's TRS Clips.